Today, welcome to a roundtable discussion of best tech for 2018. I was going to do this solo, but I've got some friends with me today. Ray from DCRainmaker, good morning.
Good morning, how good?
Des from DesFit.
Good morning.
And we're going to chat about products that are the best of breed that we think in 2018, or in the absence of something being awesome in 2018, something we've used in 2018 that we think is pretty cool or worthwhile of being the choice, I guess, in 2018 to use. So I've got a list of topics here to talk about, things that we cover on our channels, on our posts. I thought, boys, we'd kick it off with Smart Trainer.
Sounds good.
Okay, I'll tackle this one. For me, Kickr Core, 2018.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably my recommendation as well for the best. I guess I don't want to say the best trainer because it's not the most powerful trainer. It's not the cheapest trainer. It's just simply the best value, which I think for this whole list isn't necessarily the best value. It just has to be like the best all around. I don't know what the right terminology is, but to me, like if you're going to choose a trainer this year, the best bang for your buck is the Kickr Core.
We saw this one coming a long way out. We've heard of the specs of the Core and we're thinking, well, what's different between the Gen 1, Gen 2 and Gen 3? Because we've called it a silent Kickr 17. And effectively, that's what it is. It does have a smaller flywheel, but for the lower price point, it's silent. Native through axle support for the climb, and that price point being well under $1,000. Yeah, that's my pick anyway as well.
I always wanted a regular Kickr, but I just couldn't necessarily stomach the price tag. And when the Core came out, I immediately went and got one. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
it's unanimous. The Core. I'm the Core, right?
I think the Core as well. Yep.
Des?
Absolutely.
Wow, bang, that's pretty good. Now I will mention it's not without its faults. We have to acknowledge that. A few people have had a little ticks and things with it. Wahoo appear to be across the warranty, no problems at all. And I have had a few ninja stars fly off, being the chevrons.
I don't think I had enough watts to do that myself, but maybe you did.
Put it in erg mode, heat that flywheel right. I think that's also been addressed, but it was pretty funny on a live stream watching things just flick off. Von was riding along and he hears.
Yeah, and I don't think, like it's kind of, in some cases, this was just a case of like brand new manufacturing facility. Not so much the product is really the challenge, just the new facility I think is getting up to speed. But a lot of these trainer companies are sort of in that same boat. We've seen that across really all of them. Almost all the new products from all the trainer companies have had some little like wiggles in those first couple months. And some of them are software, some of them are hardware. But I think all the trainer companies are doing a good job at addressing this quickly. In the case of like the people that are having stickers flying off or making slight odd noises, Wahoo's been pretty good about it. Seems like replacing things almost no questions asked within a couple days.
Yep.
One oddity for me was I just don't necessarily like the fact that it is a little bit offset. So the fact that you will lean to the right, it may lean to the right a little bit more, and you may pick up the left side of the trainer, and that was one of my complaints for sure.
Yeah, because the feet on itself, it moved away from the Gen 1, 2, 3, 4 Kickr, which is the sort of triangular, very stable, to the double feet or the double sort of parallel bars, I guess you'd call it. Yeah, good point. Mm-hmm. Alrighty, well, Kickr Core, nice one for 2018 and into 2019. Next up on my list here, indoor accessory. Now, we've seen trainers not really change a lot. We haven't seen a lot of innovation. Well, we've seen the climb, we've seen rocker plates and things, but sort of accessories are more where things are going towards. So I'm thinking climb, headwind, or rockers and things like that. The climb is a good addition to the pain cave. It sort of adds more immersion. The headwind is another accessory that I like because it channels that wind. If you've stood in front of one, obviously, you've been in front of one. It channels wind perfectly for the cyclist, but it is a little bit expensive. I'm not sold on rocker plates. I've done 2 videos on those so far. Ray, we're waiting for your videos on rocker plates.
Yeah.
You've done the thing a few times.
I've done the thing, the Cyclops thing.
Yep.
It's downstairs, prototype version of it anyways. And so, yeah, it's interesting to me. I think rocker plates are, like, I think everyone gets, like, we had the open house this past weekend, and everyone gets on it and, like, just goes crazy sprinting. To me, that's not what rocker plates are actually that interesting for.
Yeah.
It's just that subtle movement throughout the entire trainer session that you feel like, sort of like on a boat. You're just kind of like slowly moving somewhere, going somewhere. That, to me, is more interesting than, like, the whole sprint thing, because if you've shown, it doesn't.
I can't get my head around the sprint thing on the rocker plates.
Yeah, I think your video really explained it extremely well. But I think, yeah, as Ray said, I think it's just really more about the subtlety rather than an extreme movement.
Yeah.
So for the accessory side of things, my list here and what I've written down, my accessory, now this is a bit left field, for my indoor pain cave, my green screen. It's not really cycling, but it's changed what I can do indoors. with my streams, because I can pull the green screen up and be anywhere, and I don't have to clean the Llama Lab. It can be absolutely a mess, right? Your pain cave here is looking pretty mess. Actually, it's pretty tidy.
It's pretty, yeah, it was tidy.
But my cycling accessory is the green screen. So I love the headwind, but the price is a little bit too extreme for everyone to be, that's the killer product. The Climb has compatibility issues with other trainers. Well, it doesn't work with other trainers other than what's supported at the moment from Wahoo. So yeah, I'm going with green screen. So indoor accessory, putting you on the spot for 2018.
I'll also go off the rails here.
Oi.
Apple TV.
Bang.
Boom. So my argument here is Apple TV for for the 4K version, which gives you better graphics if you're not using 4K.
I will interject there. The 4K version of Apple TV does not need a 4K TV either.
Right.
Big misconception.
Exactly. In fact, we have two 4K TVs just out of screen here, and then the one right there, it's a 1080p, one that you were riding yesterday. We're using Apple TV 4K on it with Zwift. For me, that is like, I mean, that saves me literally thousands of dollars to be able to put in something that has almost as good of graphic quality as a high-end desktop computer.
You get the experience of riding indoors. So whatever software you're loading, you've got Full Gas, Zwift, whatever you've got that's supported on Apple TV, you can just load it up for so cheap, and it's portable. We were actually moving the stand around from downstairs to upstairs after the open house, and it's like, well, it's a full Zwift station. Rather than, so
and you can use it for other things, other apps, all that kind of stuff. So it's not just necessarily, like a lot of the trainer accessories we have are just for trainers, but this is, you can use it every night for other things. It's awesome.
Des?
Mine's going to be a little bit odd too. So I have a little bendy arm extension.
You've got two bendy arms.
Bendy arms, like right here. Exactly. But I have a bendy arm little extension for my iPad that clamps perfectly on the side of the table that gets my companion app perfectly in place.
A lot of people have that problem.
Absolutely. And, we'll leave a link to the description to one in the...
Links below?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, they're relatively inexpensive, and I think they can really add to the experience of indoor cycling.
Good call. I'm quad lock. There's other I/O mounts that do the magnetic mounts things, but that's becoming more and more of something that people need to solve, because the companion app or Instagram and Twitter and like when you're on the bike, you're not always during an interval. You want to be able to jump on social media and make the time go by, answer an email, take a call. So yeah.
And that's actually why I like the Apple TV, right? That I'm not tying up my phone mirroring this to a big screen. Like, I like the fact that the Apple TV is just running what I want to run, and then I can use this to do other things that probably aren't training related.
Nice one. You got me with the Apple TV, and yeah, excellent. Hopefully they're good suggestions for other people looking for accessories. Okay, onto head units and bike GPSs. This was a hard one for me. Not a lot of new releases in 2018, but I did purchase something new for me in 2018. The Edge 1030. So it's not a 2018 product, but I got one in 2018 because the firmware had been baked and cooked and updated many times. I think firmware 6.0, I think I'm on now, or plus. Yeah, it's way up there, and I've had no problems at all with the 1030. It's huge, and when I'm indoors collecting data on the Llama Lab, I can just press the screens, pair to everything, and away I go. So for me, my 2018 bike GPS is the Edge 1030. Right.
Cool. Yeah, it's tough. I'd say there's been a lot of bike GPSs announced in 2018. But not necessarily released, right? And so, like the Stages ones, for example.
Oh, we saw those a few times.
Stages Dash, there's like 2 or 3 models, and then also the, what do you call it? Shoot, the Line ones, the Mega C, Mega XL came out, but they've still been kind of like stabilizing firmware and stuff. So for me, it's almost probably the same as you. Like, I use the 1030 all the time. I also use the 520 Plus, which did technically come out this year, but it's just a little too slow for me, like the navigation around these parts.
We saw that down at Eurobike when you were navigating around, and we're like, how long is this?
Yeah, you pass the turn by the time it comes up with the direction. So I think that may work for a lot of people, and at the price tag, it's awesome, but not here.
So 1030?
I'll go with 1030. I would say I would give an honorable mention to Sigma, though.
Okay.
I would give an honorable mention to Sigma with the ROX 12, being like really darn close to competing with the Edge 1030.
By close, but no Bluetooth support to phones?
No Bluetooth support to phones. Like, the little things to me kick me back to the 1030.
Yeah.
I think Sigma, though, is something to watch for 2019 now.
Well, there's a technicality here. We can get away with saying the 1030 because the Bontrager version of the 1030 did come out this year, which is still a 1030. So I think we get out of jail free for 2018. Des?
I'm going to go on the exact opposite end of the scale here and say the Edge 130, actually. The Edge 130. So I'm primarily a mountain biker, and I just really enjoy the size and the simplicity of the device. So I do like the 520 and 520 Plus, just because I think the 520 Plus was great because it brought mapping to a device without a touchscreen. That was questionable in terms of usability. So, but the Edge 130, it's extremely simple. It's only going to be 5 buttons rather than 7 from the 520.
Yeah, that's a lot of...
Absolutely, but it still comes with power meter support, which is fantastic.
Yes.
But again, not without its flaws. You can't rename sensors, which can be problematic.
Oh yeah, and somewhere like this, in a room like this, could be hard. Yep.
But the price point is hard to ignore. It makes it's an extremely capable device that can put power meter support into the hands of people that can't necessarily afford a 520 or 1030.
Yeah.
No, good one.
And it's been funny too, actually seeing people's reactions to the 130, because in some ways people either love it or they misunderstand it, right? Because a lot of folks will think the 130 is a replacement for like the Edge 500 back in the day, right? Which is like everyone's go-to little blue way back when. But there's, like you said, there's feature gaps there that don't quite map. But for a lot of people, it's an incredible little unit. Like I would agree with you. It's definitely one of the best of the year without.
I have to say the 130, for me, I look at it as the Element Mini, but the Element Mini really lacks a lot of feature sets. You don't have power meter support or extra sensor support, so that really wasn't a player for the cycling that we do, and probably the people that watch our stuff, tech stuff. So okay, interesting stuff. Alrighty, moving on now to power meter. Again, a topic we all quite cover a little bit or know a lot about. For me, I'm going with, this is not quite left field, but this is one for the people, the Favero Assioma Duos. Now these came out of nowhere for me. I didn't look at the B Pros. I wasn't interested in torque wrenches and installation processes and things like that. I'm like, no, they really weren't that well known or that popular, the B Pros. And when they came out with the Assioma Duos, I'm like, oh, they're going to be. I put them on the bike and went, okay, I'll go for a ride. I'm like, hang on, the data's looking damn good here. And I thought they look pretty nice. The bearings are nice in them. You do have the little round pod. I was wondering about the rechargeable battery life. They've been fine. So for me, pick of the bunch for 2018. And their attributes here, they're light, good bearings, good price, and an even better price with the recent price drop of the Favero Assiomas, and firmware support. We saw the update to them supporting the dual left-right over one Bluetooth channel, and we're looking at cycling dynamics being updated soon, so the discussions are around. So Favero Assiomas for me, for power meters 2018.
Yep. No, I'd agree. I think that's, to me, obviously the Assiomas came out 2017 technically, but I think there hasn't been a lot of power meter announcements in 2018 that are worthwhile, which sounds bad to say, but that's the reality that the ones that have come out are just either overpriced or under-featured or whatever the case may be. So these guys have had 3 significant firmware updates this year with new features and new functionality and new accuracy levels, and they're hoping to squeak in maybe one more by the end of the year with a cycling dynamics piece. So they're kicking it, and so plus the whole drop of price.
That was out of the blue. That was on Black Friday when prices drop anyway. It was a permanent drop, and they were already pretty cheap.
Yeah.
I was thinking the P1s would have dropped. Sorry, the P1s did drop, or the P2s probably would have looked better for a permanent drop in price there. But anyway, Favero Assiomas, that's my choice. Ray's choice, Des?
I'm going to do a hard pass because I just don't have enough experience with power meters, so that's why I'm learning from these two individuals.
Abstain,
right
no worries.
Absolutely.
I didn't realize that was an option.
Speaking of which, SmartWatches, and this is where I'll have to do the same as Des and pretty much sit back and go, well, it's not really my thing, watches. These guys are the ones for watches. However, I do wear, and I'll throw in my 2 cents before throwing it over to you guys for the SmartWatch of 2018. Technically not a 2018 device, but I wear my 935 as my travel watch. It's effectively a smartwatch. It gives me Ant Plus, Bluetooth sensor. It gives me all the sensor device that I need, GPS and tracking, the battery life. This lasts a week or two for me, so I can travel with this without having to recharge. But my daily is my Apple Watch Series 3 Cellular because it can unlock my Mac. I walk up to the Mac, it unlocks over Bluetooth with the proximity. It's my daily watch. So I've got 2 smartwatches that I use. So my call for my product of 2018, which wasn't 2018, but that's what I use in 2018, Apple Watch Series 3 Cellular as the daily wear. Oh, and the Strava app being more accurate that we saw the other day with our collab.
Absolutely. Great video to watch.
So you can actually track yourself with Strava and have it upload if you haven't got your phone or your head unit and things like that. Now, over to you guys for smartwatches 2018. This may be a long one.
Go first. You go first.
All right. Well, I do have a couple honorable mentions, I guess. I'm not sure if I can necessarily choose one that I absolutely love, but a couple honorable mentions. One that's kind of out from left field, the Amazfit Stratos. That was an interesting device just because it was rather inexpensive, actually extremely inexpensive for what it actually does. It does actually have external heart rate support, which I thought was great. The software needs to be built out, definitely a lot more, but it was an interesting device, especially for the price point. With that being said, again, the Apple Watch Series 4 now, that was, boy, I wanted a lot for that device. The biggest thing I wanted was better battery life.
Oh,
and that was the one thing that we did not get. And the other kind of disappointment was the fact that watchOS 5 didn't necessarily bring more expanded fitness features to it as well. But still, the larger display, the better heart rate sensor, which the Apple Watch Series 4, or I'm sorry, the Apple Watch Series 3's heart rate sensor was great already, but the Apple Watch Series 4's heart rate sensor, there's a little bit of magic going on in there, it seems like. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree. I think like I don't have like a set watch to give a winner, but I think starting off with the Apple Watch Series 4 is definitely in the contender category, but not for everyone, just for certain groups of people. But that heart rate sensor is without question the best out there. Like manufacturers, Garmin, Polar, if you're listening, you're listening. There's no question that Apple Watch Series 4 optical heart rate sensor blows all of you guys away these days. And so you need to like double down, figure that out, because it's not even close anymore. It's so good. Even, you know, Polar with their, whatever it's 9 or something LEDs in here, it's just next level compared to everyone else in the traditional fitness industry. So that's super impressive to me. I think, you know, Garmin's Fenix 5 Plus series, pulling in music now into this is something that a lot of people really love. I found it interesting to run with music again, which I haven't, primarily now because of Spotify. Been using that for a number of months now, and that's just been like such a game changer for me since I'm a huge Spotify person. So those would be my overall best picks, I guess you could say, that are out there. But yeah, it's been a decent year for watches, but not like a wham bam wow year.
Absolutely. I definitely have to agree with the Spotify integration. I think that's one interesting smartwatch feature that's elevating Garmin to a more smartwatch level, I guess you could say, you know, without necessarily being able to tie into a lot of the features that are locked with iOS. So again, you know, it's not necessarily Garmin, it's really Apple's ecosystem that you can't necessarily, you know, tie into. So I do have one other interesting mention, and that's going to be the Garmin Instinct. So I didn't necessarily want to initially like this device, but I really came to enjoy it. Again, I don't think it's necessarily without its flaws, or it definitely is missing a few different things, but I think one negative that some people brought up is that it's only a monochrome display. However, it is extremely readable in direct sunlight. It's probably one of the most readable displays that I've ever seen. I think it could be a little bit larger, but the contrast on that display is phenomenal, absolutely. If it had VO2 max, I would say go out and buy it immediately.
Yeah, I would say that's the one bizarre stumble they made in that product, because they have activity trackers at like a third of the price that have it in there, which has always been sort of the challenge with that kind of Garmin, like all these features and which ones they choose to put in different watches. And, you know, like in my mind, I think that when there's a activity device or any sort of device that's cheaper, then that feature should be available in all devices that are more expensive within that same class of devices, right? So wearables or stuff like that. And that's kind of an oddity there. But I think I agree with you. The Instinct is like this out of left field. They probably don't get as much credit as they should for that device, and it's become really popular. It's impressive.
Absolutely.
Awesome talk.
Yeah.
I really couldn't contribute there. Good stuff though. Now I'll put links below to these guys' reviews and all the discussions on those watches as well below. So deep dives with Ray, full coverage on Des's channel as well. Interesting stuff. I'm sticking to my 935. It just works for now.
Great watch.
I wouldn't mind some music in here though. That'd be a really good addition with Bluetooth headphones, etc. Alrighty, next up on the list here, software/cloud service. Now everything on the hardware side of things, pretty cooked, pretty baked, but the software side can change the experience just as much as a new bit of hardware. So my list here, well, obviously I'm a Zwift fanboy, so I've got to say Zwift. This year they've done the, finally we see an Android beta version come out, and there's always ongoing updates. We saw level 50 drop the other day. We're seeing some more updates come out by the end of the year. So for me, it's going to be Zwift. It's what I use all the time. But look, the competition is strong with Zwift. TrainerRoad themselves have made moves into the overall fitness tracking and scheduling side of things with their calendar update and their CTL, CTS. So it looks like Training Peaks, which is pretty good. But I think, the competition in this space is pretty strong. Zwift need to keep their core offering rock solid because people will be looking elsewhere. A lot of things have free trials to use. They want to keep things moving along and incentivized. I think we've just seen, I've had on my list here, and it's one of my bugbears with Zwift, Bluetooth straight to Windows. I'm like, it's something that it's a hard one because of compatibility, etc. It just went beta this week. So I can't complain about that. So it's not controllable trainer just yet, but they're moving towards that. So for me, software and cloud service is the one I use all the time, which is Zwift. Des?
Absolutely, Zwift as well. Absolutely. Okay. I do have to agree that I think TrainerRoad is definitely making a lot of additions that, especially for people that truly want to take advantage of training.
Their tagline works so well. It's to make you a faster cyclist.
Absolutely.
And
So
like, tracking where you're heading and your projections.
Yeah, I think so. I think Zwift is going to be really good for, I think, quite a few people, just in a lot of aspects, and probably more for the, I would say, beginner to all the way to expert. But TrainerRoad, again, is just providing so much in terms of the performance training features. Yeah.
Yep. Ray, software cloud service. Don't say Garmin Connect.
No, God, no. I'd probably definitely agree with you. I think Zwift with a very strong close contender of TrainerRoad behind it. I think they're getting there not just for cyclists as well, but also triathletes because of all the triathlete plans they've gotten there now these days, where they're pulling those in. And I know like Zwift has training plans and stuff, but they're nowhere near the same level what TrainerRoad is doing. It's just a whole different category. That said, most nights I'm going to put on Zwift, and I'm just going to on again the Apple TV and just rock with it. And to me, that whole thing works together well. And it's funny. I'm sure we have all things like I wish Zwift was doing this, or I wish so and such. And I look at like the title of this one that Shane put here was software/cloud service, and like instantly my brain goes to Strava, right? In terms of the one that I get almost the most value across all of the sports from, because it does everything across swim, bike, run, and all sorts of random other things. But to me, they're almost the one that I'm most frustrated with from a cloud service standpoint, because they haven't done anything new. And it's like, I just look at these things and like, why isn't that in Strava? Why isn't all sorts of things, right? And so, but where Zwift is, legitimately adding significant new features this year. Some of them are minor things that you don't realize are significant until they take them away, and then you're like, I wish we had that. Yeah,
I think what sticks for me with the cloud service is it changes the experience. Uploading to Strava doesn't change your experience of your activity, whereas Zwift actually provides, and any other platform, provides an activity. And that's what you remember. It's like, they made me go hard up the hill. That's what caused my heart rate to go up. Strava never really caused my heart rate to go up, because it's all post-activity, except if you've got live segments on. Then you're going pretty hard. But that's another discussion in itself. Awesome stuff. Alrighty. Other bike-related accessory. So we've done indoor accessories and things, but other bike-related accessory. Now, there's no guesses of what I'm going to say here. It's a product I drooled over, and I think the only one I recommended people go out and buy if they ride on roads like I do. Garmin Varia Radar 510. There's the 511, which doesn't flash, but the 510. It's the new Garmin Varia radar, because it changed my riding entirely. Now, it's not for everyone, because it's the little radar. I'll put links below to my review of this and to Ray's review, which got me to buy one, because I looked at Ray's review and went, does it really work like that? I wanted to test this myself, purchased one online, and the first ride, as soon as I got home, I'm like, one thing I have to do first, I purchased one for Veronica, my wife, because we both ride on these same big open roads. So Varia radar, not only, I could talk about this forever, because it's such a damn decent product for what I do, but the one thing I've got to say though is a lot of people say it doesn't make me any safer, it just makes me more aware of what's going on. And the scenario that I had the other day that again reinforced that this is a game changer. Veronica and I are riding along a busy road. By busy, I mean we'll probably get 10 cars passing us in 10 kilometres, so it's not really busy out where we are, but they pass at 100 kilometres an hour. Veronica's on the front, I'm behind. I wanted to roll up next to her and have a chat, but first of all, I'll do a head check. There's a single car back, because I could hear one car. I looked down the radar though, I'm like waiting, there were 2 cars. When you do a quick head check, you'll never see one car back most of the time, but the radar will pick up 2 cars, 3 cars. You know what's coming. Like, that's not only an extra set of eyes, it's an extra set of 3 or 4 eyes looking back for me. So again, just a small little scenario there, the radar just changing things entirely. And I guess if I had this back in the day, time trialing, going super hard, head tucked down, and to hear a little beep, I know just to concentrate a little bit more on not swerving out or making sure I check my position on the road. Hands down, I can't say anything more about the Varia radar, the newer version, because it doesn't look as ugly as the first.
Sure.
Des?
I've got an interesting one. So I actually just really like the new mountain bike bundles by Garmin. It's basically the mountain bike bundles. They're available for the 130 as well as the 520 and 520 Plus, I believe. So basically, it just comes with a specialized quarter turn mount that has a pivot on it, which basically allows it to be mounted on different mountain bike configurations a lot easier. So just instead of out front mount, which can definitely be, make your computer susceptible to damage, especially on a crash for mountain biking, it just allows it to be tucked away on the stem a little bit safer, basically. And then it also comes with an edge remote, so that's going to live next to your shifter, and then that way you can actually toggle through data screens, start and stop the device.
I've never thought about that on a mountain bike, because you can't really get to the screen. If you're doing this on a mountain bike and you can't get to the screen to change anything, okay.
Yeah, so basically I think it's a $50 or so upgrade on on any of the normal head units. So yeah, I just really like that they're actually bundling that in, saving I think about $30 for individuals. So yeah, kind of a weird one, but
not too bad.
Yeah.
Ray,
I would say mine is out of left field.
Yep.
Quad lock case.
Oof.
So
yeah, well, I think
only one that's odd duck here is Des with it, but myself, Shane, Vaughn, the girl, we all have it. I think, and maybe it's because now where I live, like living now here in Amsterdam, we bike everywhere all the time on different bikes, whether it be like the cargo bike or the regular around town bike. I don't use this on my road bike for the most part. I use it occasionally with drones.
You've got enough Garmin's on the front, another head units.
Got enough.
Yeah,
I'm pretty much good there. I do use it for actually drone control on my road bike occasionally, but for just around the town, I use the quad lock case, not just on my phone every day, but I use it on my bike every day for going places I've never been before. Absolutely love it.
I've got to say it's been handy having that. It's not a universal adapter, but because we all have adopted it, I've just clipped my phone on as we're riding around here. Good to go.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Plus also have you seen the new contactless chargers as well? So they're now out. Also, they've got an out front mount that's made of steel and metal rather than plastic.
I have seen that, yeah.
And different coloured collars as well. So
I do wish there was more colour options as well for these two. Like,
do you need a red one for the GPLama?
I'm going to take some like spray paint and just...
I'll see if I can get a red coloured one for you. We'll get that sorted.
Yeah, the girl wants a pink one. But it sounds silly, but it's actually somewhat like when all of us have been sitting around the dinner table the last few nights, we've all had our phone there. It's like, whose phone is whose? They're all
actually.
I know whose.
Yours is the odd duck one. Yeah.
All right, cool. Interesting suggestions there. Again, links below to those products, and away we go. Next one. This is going to be an easy one. Probably the most shortest discussion we'll have here. Sports and action camera, which is a deep dive topic in itself. But for me, my contribution here is the GoPro Hero 7 Black. Reason being, 4K, 60 frames, stabilized, case closed. Next.
I would have to agree. I mean, the hypersmooth stabilization is pretty darn phenomenal. Is it a gimbal killer? No, it is not. It just does not provide the fact that you can actually keep the horizon line the entire time. It doesn't necessarily follow you through the turns as, I mean, it actually, never mind. It actually will follow you through the turns a little bit better, but it's definitely not
a true gimbal where you do have that lock-in horizon.
Exactly.
And then
exactly. Now, the issue with the Hero 7 Black hypersmooth stabilization is going to be the mounting position, though. So you definitely have to mount it in just the right way.
I've been tinkering with mine. I still haven't quite tweaked where the best place is to put it.
Absolutely. Right.
Yep. I would say the GoPro Karma drone, definitely. Come on, you should have caught that.
I was being polite and not going, what the
yeah, Hero 7, there's no like, come on, quit the guys. There's no question.
Well, that's an authority. I thought you were going somewhere different there. Okay, sure.
I want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
No, all 7 people still left using that thing. Hero 7 Black, there's no question in my mind. I would say, like, if I was to give an honorable mention, it would be to the Mavic Air, the DJI Mavic Air for the drone category of just portability, ease of use, getting like those cool social shots that I sometimes share like on Instagram and stuff like that. It's so quick. I can be in 5 minutes or less up in the air, get the shots we want. Like with Stelvio, some of those shots were just literally under 5 minutes from the moment I stopped pedaling until I started pedaling again with the drone back in my pocket, and it was awesome. I'd be one of my secondaries there.
Awesome. Oh, GoPro Hero 7 Black. It just really was heads above the rest. Now, every time I've met you in Adelaide, I had to go and buy the new GoPro. I think that was twice this year you've maybe go buy a new GoPro. So, and it just works. At the end of the day, it's feature-wise, function-wise, it has enough for what I need to do. Press the button, record, stop the button, away we go. Do everything else in post. Alrighty, final topic here. This will be a bit of fun one. The disappointment of 2018. Gloves off for this one. My take on this one is it's the amount of products that we've seen in 2018 that have been branded a brand new product with a brand new name, version 2, that are just the same. They really are. Now, I won't name names if you watch my channel and our content on. It's pretty easy to pick which ones are which. But look, there's so much equipment here where the innovation is stagnated and the marketing department have gone, let's spray that gunmetal grey. Yes. Technically, some of the devices still have the same firmware. They really are the same firmware. When you do the updates, like, hang on, it's the same revision number. Just tweak those just to trick us a little bit. But when we look at that, it's a little bit disappointing. So for me, that's the innovation that has stagnated in a few companies, and they're just trying to rebrand things. Honourable mention, well, I guess to what team they've closed their doors. A bit of a disappointment there, showing that people want cheap and accurate power meters. it's a tough one to do. So what team have closed the door? And a second honourable mention for that IQ squared power meter. Speaking of power meters, the delays on that, bit of a disappointment. We won't be seeing the IQ squared power meter pedal plug things until 2019 now, I believe.
Sometime.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my list of disappointments. Hopefully in 2019, we'll just see a little bit of a ramp up in new tech, changing the experience of what we do. Because indoor trainers, I mean, we're talking about the Kickr Core to loop back to the very start. That still really is providing the same experience as a Kickr from 2014.
Yeah.
So yeah, where's the next level of things? Ray?
Strava.
Ooh.
Yep, without a question.
Fair enough.
I kind of, a segue that I talked about this a little bit earlier on, we're kind of disappointed. And I think my disappointment there is on a lot of levels. It's just funny because I love Strava. I really do. I absolutely love it. I use it every single day.
Yep.
It's like, alongside of Zwift, my favorite online platform. I'm just disappointed, because that's the category here, quote, disappointment of 2018. So I'm disappointed that they haven't done anything. Like at the end of the day, if you ask someone, what has Strava done in 2018 or 2017 or 2016?
They've changed Premium to Summit.
They changed Premium to Summit and they screwed up our feeds, right? So aside from those two things, I can't name a functional thing they've done that is meaningful.
We can add photos from the web now. Not impressed?
Yeah. So I guess there's tiny little features they've done, but I think they've caught into the whole software, coming from a software development company background, they get in the idea where everything is a feature. Every change to the product is considered a feature in software development lingo, as opposed to a feature that users actually recommend. We just saw Specialized last week talk about their new helmet with rider tracking, all that kind of stuff. But as part of that, they're doing now group meetup organization in that app. That should have been a Strava feature. That shouldn't be a Specialized. I mean, no offense to Specialized, but the fact that I can now, do ride planning within Strava, within a Specialized app, and then when the riders take off, I can see live tracking where everyone is using the app. They have lots of privacy stuff around that. But the idea that if I miss that ride, I can find out where they are and catch up, or if I fall off the bill, all that kind of stuff. This should be easy pickings for Strava stuff. It's just
and the technology you're talking about isn't really 2018 kind of tech. We've had that since 2015, 14, 13. This is GPS stuff that's been around for years and years. It's just plugging that together and giving people the new experience. You were discussing that the other day as we were driving somewhere, and it just blew my mind that race organisers could plug into something like that. Yeah. People could then log in and register. They could track people from a safety point of view. Is everyone in? Okay, do we put a sag wagon out, track everyone? I guess you still have to have the tech, so it's an expensive buy-in for that. If you just want to ride your bike and not have all the tech, but if you've got it, use it. It should be there. Software, you can't really fail with software. Yeah. So
I feel like if you ask your consumers, for any of these companies, if you ask consumers, what was your favorite thing we released this year? And if you ask 10 of them or something, right, 10 consumers, and they can't name things for what you did this year, that's a problem.
Yeah, good point.
And I know people could not name even 2 or 3, or let alone maybe 1 new Strava feature aside from rebranding themselves, which falls into your category.
GDPR is, it's caused a few issues there as well. There's a lot more privacy settings, but again, that's more restrictions.
Yeah.
So the who rode this segment, I was using that quite a lot with a few of my scripts and things to look at who rode the fastest time around the velodromes in Melbourne, and I could do who rode this segment today. You can't do that anymore. That's
like cleaning the kitchen, the bathroom. That's kind of stuff you have to do anyways. Every company has this maintenance stuff they've got to do that you don't get credit for. That's just you got to do that. So, anyways, Des.
I haven't actually used the device, but I would say the Hero 7 Silver.
Oh, that's
but we've just praised the 7 Black.
But
the silver, what's the downside? So no replaceable battery, or it's inbuilt rechargeable battery.
Yeah, inbuilt rechargeable battery. The lack of the display on the front of the device as well as the price point. Yeah. It's very much a why. For me, that's pretty much wraps it up in one word.
I never looked. I looked at the 7 Black review and just went straight to the top.
You did a good job there.
Okay, avoiding disappointments.
Absolutely.
So
But overall though, I would actually have to say incomplete firmware. And services behind a lot of products. Just
in a daily grind.
Absolutely.
Daily grind.
I think that a lot of companies are spending maybe a bit too much on marketing and not enough on development at this point. So I think that people need to push development really, really hard. And this is, I think, generally across the board. Yeah.
I love being bleeding edge myself. I was installing beta firmwares forever and beta kernels back in the day and things like that on the Linux, and wanting the new features and functions. And I always thought it was a legacy thing. People are saying, don't go to version 1, it's full of bugs. And I'm like, no, get on it, it's fine now. There should be testing and things in place for people to put out cooked firmware. Still not the case though.
No,
which
absolutely
is pretty
not.
disappointing. So no, very good point.
Well, and from a tester and reviewer perspective, the problem is it's like we go out and get the device and we go out and test it with incomplete firmware, and it's hard to talk about it because we are going to see a lot of firmware releases, and I get it too. Coming from a software development standpoint as well, I get it, but at the same time, a little bit more needs to be done.
It's a big testing pool out there. I think there's a lot of people, you see it on forums all the time. Send me one to test. I'll be a tester for you. So I think companies should really be able to grab a small pool of people or trusted people to actually test for them, probably pay them to do it as well as developers off on the side. So there's thousands of cyclists out there. Look at Slow Twitch and look at Facebook forums. People are saying, I want the ability to test this for people. I think there's an opportunity there for a lot of companies to do things like that. Rock and roll. All right, we'll wrap it up there. That's our list of 2018 best of breed tech and some discussion around that. Coming up for the Roundtable episode 2, coming up next, will be our 2019 predictions and wish lists for all the things we've discussed here. Thanks guys for coming on to this one. Stay tuned for that.
Thanks.